much. So this afternoon you're going to be hello.
Not working.
Oh, it's not working. Oh. Hello. So this afternoon you're going to be hearing a whole lot of ideas around sustainability. There's going to be a lot of discussions around carbon and definitely a lot around sustainable agriculture and so on and so forth. So what I've put together in my presentation today is a suggestion, right? And it's more a call for participation. The approach that we take as ecosystem builders is to bring as many partners as we can to kind of co-create a solution for Palau and also to leverage Palau as a hub so that we can serve the region, right? So that's primarily what I'll be discussing today. My company's name is Enjinstarter. We're a launchpad. And what we do is we specialize in funding, right? So we help projects raise capital from early stage to even tokenized fundraising. So that's primarily our strength. We're launching a regulated launchpad in Dubai at the later part of this year, and it's purely focused on impact and sustainability. And carbon credits is one big area that we're looking at. And again, what we're looking to do is to build connectivity from this region to the UAE. The UAE is going to be hosting COP28 this year. It's a massive, carbon is a massive narrative this year. And what we hope to do is to kind of bridge these opportunities together. Right, so we see carbon as a new asset class. And while all the countries are now racing towards this net zero ambition, where large corporates are soon going to be taxed if they are, polluting and they're contributing a lot of carbon footprint. Soon it will become important for these guys to actually purchase carbon credits. Countries that are actually contributing a lot more carbon footprint will actually be buying carbon from a lot of developing countries, right? So this is where we see a new wave of financing being unlocked. And this is where a lot of capital from all around the world could reach developing countries like Palau, and they can tap into a global economy, right? So we see it as a big movement, but we believe that we need a platform, right? Anything to be done on a much more scalable way will require a platform. And that's why we are proposing being able to kind of create a platform that will be localized for this region, right? So I've used the working title of RAI, which is the name of the stone money that you guys may have visited yesterday. Coincidentally, it's also a stable coin on the Ethereum platform, which Vitalik has been promoting, right? So, tomorrow when we actually see Vitalik, I think this is something that we should kind of build that connectivity. And I believe the RAI or the stone money that you saw was the original and the first store of value, right? So in the blockchain space, we always talk about store of value and a ledger. And I think the stone money was kind of that beginning of it. And now to kind of bring it back with a blockchain-powered strategy, I think it's going to be very interesting. This is where we can tie back the local culture, the local belief system into the future. And this creates a platform that we all can grow together on. Right, so we feel that Palau being small is actually an advantage. They're very nimble and they move very, very quickly. They've already shared the ambition to be a global blockchain hub, and the fact that we've managed to bring so many top talent to Palau to kind of spend 3 days with us to kind of discuss blockchain ideas, I think it's a major achievement. But this is now an opportunity for Palau to stand up. We've seen countries like the Cayman and the British Virgin Islands in earlier years being a hub for setting up of companies, and a lot of funds were actually set up there. We believe Palau can now play a key role in this sustainable financing world that we're going to head into, right? So what we're looking at doing is kind of starting a platform, and everyone here is welcome to kind of join us. It's meant to be collaborative. It's going to be an ecosystem effort. And we eventually would find local partners like the Palau Blockchain Society to kind of play a key role in taking this to the next level, right? We believe that we should be aligned to the 17 SDG goals. You would have heard Ilana talking about it. This kind of puts a lot of validity to the work that we're going to be doing. We will be internationally recognized. And a lot of the water-based carbon credits, SDGs, 13, 14, and 15, once we align to that, it kind of gives whatever that we're doing a much global appeal. Right, so but there are a lot of challenges, right? So in the morning we kind of hosted a roundtable, and we understand there's a lack of knowledge, there's a lack of understanding of what's happening. But this is where we can now come together as an industry, as an ecosystem, to share best practices of what's happening, and we can co-create this solution, right? It's a new and exciting space. It's going to move very, very quickly, but that's kind of why we need to do this as a collective, right? So that we all can advance very, very quickly. And I think the biggest challenge that we see with a lot of project developers that we meet, a lot of them want to be creating carbon credits, but the cost to actually create some of these carbon credits is very costly, right? So if you go to Vera, in order for you to get carbon certified, it's going to cost 70,000 US to at least up to 200,000 US, right? So the cost becomes a challenge, but this is where through various fundraising exercises, we can actually try to bridge that by providing capital. It could be in the form of a loan, it could be in the form of equity investments, and some of these things can actually be unlocked. So we see carbon as a growing asset class. It's a global demand. So in the carbon market, there are two different kind of carbon markets. One is the voluntary carbon market, where large corporates choose to actually purchase these carbon assets to offset their carbon footprint. And there's also the compliance market. This is where 193 countries have signed an agreement. It's called the Paris Agreement. And this is where everyone is now going to be looking to reduce their carbon footprint. And carbon credits are a key part of that, right? So it kind of starts that catalyst towards unlocking green financing. And as we start moving into renewable energy, as we start moving into more sustainable energy, the carbon asset becomes a new asset class, right? So the cost of a carbon asset at this point in time is about $8 to $10. It could go up to as high as $100 as a benchmark. So we see this as a business potential too. Right, so there are a lot of emerging markets that are now looking to tap into this. And the beauty really is a lot of the carbon sinks are found in developing markets, right? So this is where developed countries in Europe will be actually buying from developing countries, right? So this kind of unlocks a new way that trade is going to happen. So this is the entire value chain that we look at from a tokenized carbon credit perspective. A lot of it is based on projects that are looking at raising capital, but there's also a lot of business development opportunities by selling some of these carbon assets or getting large corporates to actually invest and participate in some of these projects. I'll share my slides later. So the key thing that we're looking at developing is, and you will ask, where does the blockchain come in this, right? So what we're looking at doing is sourcing high quality carbon assets, tokenizing it and bringing it onto a blockchain. And why are you being asked, right? So the biggest problem in the carbon credit space today is that carbon credits get double counted, right? So the same asset gets sold to multiple partners and there's no provenance, right? So by bringing in the blockchain will track where these carbon credits were created, what's the value of these carbon credits, what's the value that is being sold, who's going to be the beneficial owner. And when these carbon credits get bought, they get retired from the blockchain. So this brings in a lot of trust into the ecosystem. And through this trust, the value of the carbon assets actually goes up. So what we're looking at doing is really playing onto Palau's strengths, right? So Palau is a global name when it comes to ocean conservation. And working on blue carbon credits is one great way that we can actually unlock this value, right? So we talked about, what was it? Krista, what do you see is the something capital you mentioned?
Nature capital, blue capital,
nature-based capital, right? So this is where we can actually unlock the power of nature-based capital, and this is something that's abundant in this region. And this is where we believe carbon credits will actually come. But of course, it's a new industry. There's no standard at this point of time for the region. and there's no platform that we can actually put this, right? So this is where we feel we potentially could come together as an ecosystem to build this standard, and we could also build a marketplace where some of these high quality carbon assets are going to be placed, and this generates revenue for the entire region. So the various areas that we potentially could focus on, we could look at ecotourism, blue carbon is something that we're going to be talking about. And also there's a bigger narrative around blue economy, right? So anything around the ocean, whether it's fisheries or anything around renewable energy, all of these have the potential of being, creating carbon credits. And this is one exciting area that we look to explore. Of course, the conservation aspect, you're going to hear more speakers sharing about that later today. And this is where Palau potentially could also play a key role, right? So, we've kind of built out an entire value chain. This is where we can help projects from an early stage by providing advisory to eventually helping them from a fundraising perspective. Right. So the key platform will actually have a carbon tokenization platform. It will be a central body, and this is where all the different projects that will come out from this region can potentially be placed here. We could potentially have a discussion with the Ethereum Climate Platform, which was an initiative that has been launched at COP27 last year, and they're going to be at COP28 this year. And this is potentially where we could also align with them. And Palau has actually launched the Palau Blue Prosperity Fund. They were trying to raise 35 million. This was launched in 2022. They've already raised 10 million so far, and there's potentially a funding gap. And this is where we potentially could bring this onto the blockchain and raise capital in a tokenized way. So that's one of the key opportunities that we're looking at. And lastly, for any project here who needs capital, do come and speak to us. We can figure out what's the best way that we can support you. Right. So these are some collaborations that we already have in place. We have been in various talks with the Ethereum Climate Platform. They do need some support with the crowdfunding piece, which is what my company is supporting them with. But they have a company called All Infra that has developed an entire standard for creations of bond, and is backed by a digital MRV platform. So this is where we can measure, we can report, and we can verify all the different carbon assets that are going to come from here. We do have, other carbon standards that potentially could be explored. And I think the last thing is really the exciting thing. We're working with a group called the Convergence, and they are creating a documentary to showcase the journey Palau is taking towards COP28. There's going to be a lot of content we're creating, and if any of your projects are suitable, we could fit that in. We can showcase that in Dubai at the end of this year, and it will be a great way to get a huge amount of awareness for the projects that you guys are working on. So yeah, this is my ask. We are very open to collaboration. We look forward to working with as many partners as we can. We love to present some ideas to the government before we leave. I think tomorrow we're going to have an interactive session on the Rock Island. And I think the key outcome that we want to achieve out of the summit is to be coming out with ideas that we can actually move forward to implement. And I think this is one key thing that we're looking at. If you guys have any other way that we can work together, feel free to reach out, and we'll have to stay connected. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Prakash.